Good morning, ladies and gentlemen in Grand Ecosystem. Good morning, my national ESCO, great country, Nigeria, subscribers of Grants in Nigeria. I want to welcome you to a new month and in their fun, a new year. I remain your brother and friend, Reverend Moses from Abuja, the president of New Life for All Nigerians. Ladies and gentlemen in Grand Ecosystem, I respect all Nigerians for their patience, keen interest, peaceful coexistence in Grand Ecosystem. It is my pleasure to break the silence of almost 2 months of recess and watching and trying to bring solutions to Nigerians. This, I remain committed to it, though not in total, but trying to see how best we can approach the situation of lack of disbursements of grants in Nigeria. This morning, I am here to address the grant ecosystem in general and NEFAN in particular, as we have adopted the first day of July to be our new year. Therefore, I congratulate all members of New Life for All Nigerians for setting the house in order and for adopting a day to celebrate a new year. This day, I believe, will mark a remarkable history in the day of NEFAN and the general grant community in Nigeria. Permit me this morning to go through memory lane to educate us on how this journey started. On the 27th day of October 2023, I was moved to accept and organize a prayer on the most exalted altar of the Ecumenical Christian Center at the Business District of Abuja. In that meeting, I met prominent grant agitators and CEOs. I want to mention the few I can remember. Agbala One, Comrade Andy was in that meeting. Admin High Priest, Commander of Miracle, Pastor Felix Ajay, Rose Udom, to mention but a few. Pastor Ekebru was there in that meeting where we raised prayers on the altar of the Ecumenical Center concerning the disbursement of grants in Nigeria, crying before God on the center of the altar. I led part of the prayers, Admin High Priest did, and Pastor Frank Ekebru did. We snapped pictures to keep as a memory. Since then, the vision of agitating and bringing this grant to the poor dying Nigerians was cooked and kept in my heart. I attempted gathering CEOs to pray for grant ecosystem, but some rascals came into it and scattered it. In that group, Bishop Emmanuel Agu was in that group. He bears me witness. That was how the journey to begin an organization that will agitate strongly and press forward the demand of grant disbursement in Nigeria was bettered. This I continued to nurse until the proposed date of disbursement last year, November 3rd, was annulled by no reason, because all Nigerians were made to believe that it won't go beyond the 3rd of November. After the 3rd of November last year, I was a member of the platform People of the Same Mission, led by Ambassador Onyeka Zita Wonsu. There, I tried by all means not to miss the early morning prayers, because briefs were gotten from that platform, and I believe up to now, standard briefs are gotten from the same platform of the People of the Same Mission by Ambassador Zita Onyeka. The frustration of not lack of disbursement after the 3rd of November continued to build, and we continue to be keen to know the reason why disbursement had not happened. And she was always briefing us on the move and what happened. One of these days, that was particularly the 13th day of November, she came with a very frustrating report that she had begged the stakeholders to be part of the meeting so that she can know them, but they objected. This was the motivating factor that motivated me in anger to make the voice note of the 13th day of November 2025. After the voice note, brethren, I got support. People came on board. Few minutes later, 30 to 45 minutes later, I got a call by Felix Ajay that I have caused a serious blunder, that he has received a report from the villa that somebody has made a voice note, and that voice note was in ignorance, and the voice note should be reversed immediately to give way for disbursement in the next 2 days. Nigerians, in humility, I went back and make a reversal voice note to debunk what I've said, to give room for peace, and also bring disbursement. Our target was not agitation, opposition, rascality, insult. Our target was disbursement so that Nigerians can be free from these chains of today and tomorrow. Few hours later, friends came in to encourage me. One of them was at my high priest, Dr. Freeman Annie, Pastor Blessed, Edava. They came up to encourage me and find out what happened, that I made a reversal broadcast. These people that came together to encourage and console me and find out what happened, I decided to bring them together in a group which later on became Grand Community Decide Movement. The journey for agitation and press forward a group that can speak sincerely and true to Nigerian started as the history is being narrated. We continue to press on. We continue to press on until the issue of tweeting came on board. I called for tweeting. We tweeted to the international community to call for help so that we can rest. The tweeting brought its own result in GCDM then, and later on we discovered that we need to come on board. I made a voice note and I approached Nigerians and I told Nigerians that we are going physical. Some didn't understand what I meant by going physical, but I actually meant we should do something on ground that can draw the attention of the federal government and the international community to answer us and bring succor to our tables. That gave birth to a 7-day ultimatum to organize a World Press Conference. When we gave the 7 days ultimatum, in our belief, we were hoping and trusting God that the system will not allow us to hold a press conference and expose some of the things that happens in grand ecosystem on our screens of televisions. Little do we know that the dragging of feet is both ways. As the government is dragging our feet, so the grand handlers are following suit. We set a date to be the 31st of January this year, and we worked towards it with doubts, thinking that it will happen before then. My brothers in Grand Ecosystem, it never happened, and the challenges on how to raise funds to sponsor this program became a challenge. We don't have money, we're simply agitating, pressing forward our demand to have the grant disbursed. Suddenly, I came up with an idea to call for help, since we have not called for help since our inception on November 13th, 2025. I raised a voice note calling on Nigerians to help me and help the organization to organize a World Press Conference. I must salute and appreciate all Nigerians who contributed in their little corner to help for the organization of the World Press Conference. We did, and people continue to support to make sure that the World Press Conference was a success. My brothers in Grand Ecosystem, the World Press Conference came on, and it was a success. We had over 5 television stations and 3 radio stations to include Radio Nigeria to cover the World Press Conference. Many came on board to challenge us that we promised an international or a World Press Conference. But why is it that we could not bring international media to cover us? People like Tunde Jr. came up to insult and castigate us and made a hell of noise. I simply ignore him because I know what an elder stands up there, sit down and see a boy will climb on an iroko tree and will not see it. Radio Nigeria is international. NTA is international. Arise TV is international. The cost of bringing BBC, Voice of America to Nigeria to do that was over millions of naira, and we do not have the resources to go into that. The little resources we had was coming little by little. We never had a million naira at once as a support. It was 2,000, 500, 200 that was out. It was coming like the drops of the rain. We have to wait for it to get to a certain level for a particular project before we carry it out. Ladies and gentlemen, this history is important as we usher in the new year in fun. This is going to go into our archives so that tomorrow posterity will judge. Little by little, we're able to meet our needs and will organize the first World Press Conference in Grand Community ever since 2016. We had attendance of over 500 people attending the World Press Conference in Area 10, Garki, Abuja. In that conference, we were able to bring the chairman of Grand Handlers, Bishop Elochukwu, alias Elomama, of Tepacon. He was there physically to address the grand ecosystem and presented evidence of grants, of Tepacom grants of $700 million, which was visible to all Nigerians in his presentation. Sanctuary Wealth Multipurpose Foundation was represented by a team of 5, led by the secretary, Pastor Simeon Idachaba. We had other grand handlers who came on board and made their speeches. We had a printed banner containing dead late CEOs, 35 of them, on a big spray banner to show Nigerians and the world that this journey have consumed some of our colleagues, and that is why we continue to cry for God to help us and help their families, because we know both the subscribers and their families are suffering. The CEOs are suffering. Even the grand handlers, because they've not disbursed, we are all suffering. We displayed that banner, which is in history up to today. This was how the journey became formidable. After that, I was inspired that we should go spiritual. And I make a voice note and also call on Nigerians to pray. At that time, it was about the prayer and fasting of the Muslims, the small Azimi time. I call on both Christians and Muslims to fast for 3 days, which we did. Before that time, Professor Greg, the first time I met with Professor Greg was in the World Press Conference. He was not a member of GCDM. I brought him in GCDM and appointed him later as the South-South Zonal Chairman, serving under me. After the prayers, God inspired me to take a move and sow a seed at the most exalted altars of people who have agitated for Nigerians and their betterment. One of which was Evangelist Paul Gindri late, and then our father, the blessed memory, Archbishop Benson Edahausa's altar. This I was doing by inspiration, moving to galvanize and bring GCDM into limelight, and also to push for disbursement of grants in Nigeria. Nigerians came up again, prayed, and in the prayer, they gave offerings that were a seed to sow the seed in this altar and raise both the spirit of the dead and the living God to fight for us to bring this disbursement. I must appreciate all Nigerians who came up in mass, especially in Jos and Benin, to welcome me and give me a rousing welcome. This occasion was done, and oil was touched on my head. I knew anytime an anointing come on a man, the first person that will come to challenge it is the enemy. It is in history that when David was anointed, he took one step out, which was a victorious one for Saul to celebrate. But after a short celebration, Saul became a tool to kill David. For 13 years, the oil on David's head was running to hide for his dear life. I was sensitive in the spirit and I understand. Immediately, this oil to push leadership and agitation in grand ecosystem touched my head. The devil struck in GCDM. I was no longer valued as the president of GCDM. It was a tempting time. It was how will I be prosecuted for not printing an account statement. I wrote an account and presented before my age school, and I told them, Bear with me. I knew the enemy was about to strike. And then the method they were going to use was to get my account statement printed from the bank so that they will hold it and spread it and then hold it as evidence to discover anything that they feel it was not right to jail me up. When I noticed it in the spirit, I refused to go and print my account statement to give to them on social media to spread it around to use it to castigate me. It was very clear the mission was to bring me down, which was openly spread by my high priest, that GCDM make me and they have the powers to bring me down, and they are going to bring me down. This was the engagement of the fight because I know the target, I know the mission. I refused to give in to this antic, and I continue to strive, and I refuse to give them what they want to have as evidence. But I wrote in my submission when I was writing and presenting the account in writing, stamped by GCDM stamp, that GCDM, my own account statement will be made available for only authorized persons to go through. Today, as I speak with you, the account statement from Fidelity Bank of Setri International Ventures, which is my personal organization, is lying in police station at Zone 7, Use Zone 3 for verification. What I said in my broadcast then was 9.6 million naira. Everything that came in is lying there for everybody who is interested to go to the police station and verify. It's printed there. Go and check the records. But GCDM were bent on how to spoil my name and castigate me and give Nigerians the picture of somebody who's not transparent, somebody who have misused powers, and somebody who have misappropriated funds. And this narrative they had, despite all odds to amend wars and live in peace, I had foreknown that this was what was going to happen. That was how I head on to giving them the soft copy of my bank statement to spread in social media, whom you will not trust who it will get to its hands. But today, it's there at Zone 7. You can go there and verify yourself. It is an authority. You check it there and leave it there as a reference. Ladies and gentlemen, in Grand Ecosystem, we continue to move. I continue to move. Professor Greg continued to parade himself as the president, whom I brought, I considered a betrayer. You don't bring somebody and make him one of your officers, and then this split came up and they offered you my seat, and you come on board and take it and parade yourself and address yourself as acting president. I consider it one of the highest betrayers in Grand Ecosystem. In my displeasure, I called him, I told him to stop parading himself as the president because I still remain the president. If Greg was part of those that came in after the World Press Conference, every other person is valued. We were 22 on board, and then 9 of them came up to suspend me as a challenge, and Greg became the acting president. However, we continue to galvanize, to make our programs, create awareness, move around to make sure that grant was disbursed in Nigeria. On the 27th of April, we call for a 5 million march in support of Mr. President in Abuja for a second time bid. And we continue to plan. We face one of the highest opposition in Grand Ecosystem. People came up to criticize us. However, we continued until on the 30th of April, we organized the first Grand Community Ecosystem support for a sitting president, which was also physical. After swearing in our officers in the venue, we had a procession, not as expected on legs, on foot, but we proceeded to the APC National Party Secretariat to present a letter of support to Mr. President and plead with him that the message that he has sent have not gotten to us yet, but we're expecting him to do it. And I declare, which is still on record, that if this disbursement is done, we do not need any other tool to support him to the 2027 general election. My brothers, compatriots of Nigeria, I'm going through this memorial lane to mark the first day of July, which Nefan has officially adopted as our new year. That occasion was successful, as seen by all men and attested to by all men. After the program, we continued. Meanwhile, the elder statesman Agbochonu has filed a petition against four of us, namely Apostle Ken, Ambassador Newman, Mr. White, and myself, but he insisted that he must drag me to police station by all costs. It became a fusion between GCDM, other faction, and elder statesman Agbochonu, calling me to the police by all means to pick me up anywhere. The incident of David and Saul began to play. Agbochonu took over the fight and dragged me to the police station. He leveled that I was fighting for grants that are not visible and are not true. He noted that there is no grant in Nigeria, that he has worked with Professor Eloche Ebonyi, Theophilus Eloche Ebonyi of Toba Global Foundation for years. I insisted that he knows him and he was in the burial of his father, and he can tell me for free that he has nothing, he has no money, and I am promoting him. I'm promoting the grant. I must explain why I'm promoting the grants that I cannot see if I have seen the document of the grant of Theophilus Eloche Ebonyi. He also accused me of supporting Apostle Ken over Sanctuary Word Multipurpose Foundation's grant, formerly UAAG. These were the charges, and then my agitation to bring out the grant and accusing the federal government of not disbursing the grant. I should prove which of the parastatal of governance that have not given the grant, and there is no grant in Nigeria. These were the grounds, and also including that I must go back and serve suspension of the faction of GCDM. This, I noted that it was a fight that was still going to continue from the fight I was fighting before with the GCDM factional leaders. I calmed down myself, pleaded for peace. I called out my high priest who was there. I asked him, my brother, what do you want? He said I should do the needful. And I know he has insisted that GCDM was his personal property. He started it, and I started it. He started it, and he made me the leader. On the 11th day of May 2026, in a harmonious mood, where Dr. Annie Freeman was there, Chief Andy Bright, Agbochonu, at my high priest, Ambassador Marian, I called them outside for settlement. And on the 11th day of May, I pulled out of GCDM officially and told them I have handed over and I'm moving out with what I've done, which is the structure setting of GCDM. That was how we packed out of GCDM, leaving them to continue in peace so that peace will reign. And we made an accord deal with Elder Statesman Agbochonu, and I signed that I will not promote a grant until I have seen the document of the grant or I am sure of the grant. Because the police asked me whether I know whether there is grant. I said I didn't know that there is grant, but I believe that there is grant in Nigeria, and Nigeria were going to benefit. I became an object of mockery with the elder statesman Bartholomew Agbochonu squeezed me to say that there is no grant in Nigeria. I insisted that there is grant in Nigeria. How do I know? As I have not seen, but I believe that there is ground for the poor masses of Nigeria. This was the case. Ladies and gentlemen, you may not know what happened in the police, but this is exactly what happened. I want to thank God. Few days after pulling out of GCDM, God gave us a new name. New life for all Nigerians were bettered precisely on the 15th day of the same May 2026. The name was given by inspiration, and I announced it, the new name, to the public. Today, as I speak with you, after that occasion, those who followed us to go into new life for all Nigerians from the former ESCOs, we were about 13 or 14 more who went with me and the Foundation of New Life for All Nigerians kickstart. All our state administrators plus FCT moved out with me, who saw the sincerity, who signed for the confidence in me, pull out, and we formed New Life for All Nigerians. Today being the first day of July, we have set the house in order. God has helped us this far. We are able to set this house, and I read the leadership of New Life for All Nigerians. Reverend Dr. Moses Tekachoji, National President. Reverend Dr. Roland Okpuri, National Vice President. Dr. Oluwasemi Oje, National Secretary. Engineer Pastor Udodi Ugochukwu Onyemechi, National Treasurer. Dr. Freeman Ani, National PRO. Barrister Taiwo Giwa, National Legal Advisor. Dr. Love Chugoze, Assistant Secretary and Director of Entrepreneurship and Skill Acquisition. Dr. Gbenga Adeyeye, Director of Diaspora Forum. Mrs. Blessing Ocheji, National Financial Secretary. Mr. Sunday T. Macon, Plateau State, National Auditor. Ambassador Mrs. Biola Kolawale, National Women Leader. Ambassador Amana Musa Sunam, National Youth Leader. Mr. Isaac C. A.K. AIG Retired, National Patron. Alhaji Abubakar Aliu, Northwest Zona Chairman. Ambassador Solomon Bulus Kamsi, LRHD, Northeast Zona Chairman. Comrade Abdulaziz Garba Duba, North Central Zona Chairman. Mr. Abdurrahman Olajide Fadedumin, Southwest Zona Chairman. Bishop Colonus Oranta, South Zona Chairman. Engineer Uzoma Ezemoni, Southeast Zona Chairman. Mrs. Cherish Moses Choji, Director of Women Affairs. Ambassador Prince Isaac Kolawale, Director of Media and Mobilization. Ambassador Prince Jinga James, Director Investment Planning and Budgeting. Bishop Chijoke Agu, Emmanuel Agu, National Prayer Secretary, Director of Pastoral and Ministerial Affairs. Mrs. Doris Jonah Kado, Director of Welfare and Social Services. Elder Paul Ubo, Director of Strategic Planning and Chairman Vision 31. Assisted by Mr. Olani Mustafa from Kwara State as his secretary. Mr. Isaac C. Eke, AIG Retired, Chairman Disciplinary Committee, assisted by Barrister Taiwo Giwa, and the 6th Geopolitical Zone Chairman, Mr. Victor Nice, Director of Youth and Innovation Affairs. Professor Godwin Michael A. Zerefe, Director for Research and Training, assisted by Ambassador Dr. Miriam Moses Difo. Haja Zubaida Ismaila Jekum, National Matron from Jigawa State. And finally, Comrade Andy Bright, Chairman, ex-official members. This is the formidable house of Nefan today. We went into making laws and constitution, and this constitution was formally adopted on the 30th of June 2026 to launch in today being our new year. Today, I announce to you New Life for All Nigerians is an organization formidable enough, having the standard of its kind. Today, I announce to you a new year, a new life for all Nigerians. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time I'm making this lengthy voice note to give you a historical background and where we are. We have adopted our constitution and is signed by 10 people. The Northwest Zona Chairman Alhaji Abubakar Mustafa, the South-South Zona Chairman Bishop Colenus Orienta, Southwest Zona Chairman Comrade Abdurrahman Olajide Fomodumu, Northeast Zona Chairman Comrade Solomon Bulus Kaumsi, North Central Zona Chairman Comrade Abdulaziz Garba Duba, Southeast Zona Chairman Engineer Eze Money. This constitution is signed and sealed by the grace of God. It will be in circulation to all zonal leaders and state administrators, local government coordinators, so that everybody will be guided by this constitution to give us a direction of where we are going to. Our crisis in GCDM have opened our eyes to so many things so that we can take precaution not to do them again. Account of Nefan, by the grace of God, this new year is ready for transaction with all who are concerned. And I announce to Grand Ecosystem that by the grace of God, this new year is going to usher in our jubilation all over the Federation. My appreciation. I want to appreciate profoundly Barrister Taiwo Giwa, the legal advisor of New Life for All Nigerians, who followed me from GCDM as a legal advisor, as a then assistant secretary. She saw what was genuine and she followed me. Barrister Taiwo Giwa, I will never forget your work in putting legal touches to this constitution and bringing it out the way it is in standard. I celebrate you as I have declared in our close of the year meeting. You are one of the persons that New Life for All Nigerians will give you an award for this profound legal framework. Also, my appreciation goes to Dr. Benga Adeyeye, the director of the diaspora, for holding on the diaspora mission for us. NELFAN is not just in Nigeria, it's spread across some African countries, Europe, and America. I want to thank you for holding the diaspora mission very strongly for NEFAN. I want to thank very specially the engine room of NEFAN, Dr. Freeman Annie, the national PRO, whom we moved together from GCDM to NEFAN. These three people today are honorable people in GCDM. I also want to thank a very serious loyalist of GCDM, of NEFAN, sorry, Comrade Andy Bright, whom we have made chairman as official members. Comrade Andy Bright has never left us alone despite the fact that he was not in the mainstream of NEFAN. He remained a strong supporter of NEFAN. We appreciate you. I want to this time appreciate the ex-servicemen who are in town for almost 2 months now fighting for Grand Community. It is clear that they came on board, asked me to step down and give them a chance, which I did. Brigadier General Usman Atai Doko is not faceless, is human, and his PRO or his assistant in person of Commander Yakubu Lawal. They came into the system, excused us to give them the framework and the platform, which I did. They've been into grand ecosystem to fight, and they fought for all of us, and the result is glaring. The result is everywhere. It can be attested everywhere, and everybody see what is going on. Brigadier General Tai Doko retired. Nigerians indeed are indebted to this time, indebted to you over this time, despite the fact that a group of minority came up to insult you, call you faceless, call you bandit, gave you all manners of name. You kept on being strong, the mission undivided, holding on to grant community to make sure that the grants are out. And by the grace of God, Nigerians, there's a good news for all of us. God has done it for us. Do not be weary. Celebrate them. I want to caution those who came out openly to insult these gentlemen who came up to sacrifice their comfort for us, who came out, left their families in their different locations to Abuja, led by General Brigadier Atai Doko, his assistant, Commander Lawal Yakubu, the field commandant, Comrade Ezemoni, Victor Nice, Joel Fumi, Dr. Chigoze Love, Chief Andy Bright, to mention but a few. They've been in the field not for their comfort, but for the comfort of all Nigerians, including NEFAN. I therefore call on all NEFAN members to give them their support, their widow's mite, to keep them in the field and keep fighting for us. Those who came out to insult them bandits, insulted their mother, insulted every part of their body. I want to caution the body that gave you the license to do that. I wonder, I have an international ministerial license which I valued so much. There is no bishop in Nigeria or archbishop in Nigeria that does not have a college of bishops, colleges of bishops. You could see that those you give license have come up with this same license to insult people, castigate people, insulting even to the private parts of women on social media, which can be considered as social media bullying. I want to ask this College of Bishops whether your license was meant for this kind of insult and rascalities, which I believe is no. I valued my license. I know very well that my College of Bishops will not tolerate me coming on board on social media to insult people, castigate them, bully them on social media. Colleges of Bishops, please take note and call back their licenses because they are not worth carrying your licenses to insult people on social media. I want to address very specially some hooligans also, part of which Tunde Jr. was like a rascal, calling himself all manners of name and insulting these same people who are fighting for us, bandits, and giving all manners of name. Your insult to me did not matter to me because there is no soap in the market that washes away insult. But the insult on General Atai Doko and his team is an insult to Nigerians. And I want to caution you to refrain from such rascality and hooliganism, especially in grand ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate all of you this morning, and I declare first day of July, the new year for NEFAN. Prayers will be going on for the ex-servicemen and their team of fighters in the field. Support will be going on for them today. Whatever you have, please, I encourage you to send to the account that has been made available by Comrade Victor Nice. Support them as they fight for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I want to thank all the grand handlers who have held on And I want to thank the reconciliatory team that have made sure that there is peace between all grant handlers, which we noticed a few days ago. This is the part of reconciliation that all bishops and well-meaning Nigerians should do, not a part of insult and placing of curses and causing people's generation. The Bible says we are all called into the ministry of reconciliation. This we expect that it should be the standard of all Christians, let alone bishops who wear the cassock and the stole. My apology. I want to apologize to all Nigerians. What happened between me and Comrade Garba Duba, our conversation, which was the first week or second week of December last year, was leaked out by Bishop Daniel Tiambara to the grand ecosystem as a target to me as part of the fight. I want to apologize sincerely. I am wrong. I take the responsibility on behalf of my Zona Chairman Abdulaziz Garba Duba. He needed an information to console Angbara with. He came to me as a leader. I spoke with him in confidence. I was not insulting any part of Nigeria because I never knew any better way to call the Igbos than Inyamuri, because the Hausa man calls them Inyamuri and we are talking in Hausa partly. Therefore, whosoever feel offended by the leaked voice note, which I came up very quickly to own up to the leaders of Grand Community, I owned up that night and I told them, yes, it was not an AI, it was me. I humble myself before all of us to apologize to Nigerians. It was not a calculative, deliberate act to derogate any part of Nigeria, to segregate any part of Nigeria. It was a private communication. Leaking it out, recording it was an offense. Leaking it out was an offense. But in this scenario, I'm the younger and I must take the blame. Abdulaziz Garbadova is a retired colonel who is working with me, and I can never claim superiority over him. And he came to me and apologized and owned up to all Nigerians. I forgave him, and we're working together. Bishop T. Angbara is an elder man, elder statesman in this system. I respect him so much. I can't hear the blame on him for leaking it out on whatever ground. I am the boy in this system. I take the responsibility and I apologize to whosoever, at whatsoever level, Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, whatsoever was said there was a private communication, which should be treated as a private communication that was leaked by mistake to the general public. If you insult the king and he didn't hear you, the person that take the message to the king is the offender. Those who are emphasizing on that leaked voice note, who are coming to analyze it and represent it, you are the one insulting the president. I'm not the one. As far as I'm concerned, it was a private discussion on a telephone call over 7 months ago that was leaked by mistake by Bishop Tiambara. I apologize to all that were injured by that leaked voice note, and I pray God will have mercy on me. In conclusion, I remain the servant of Grand Ecosystem and their farm, and I'm not God. I'm not an angel. I have my faults. I have my faults. I return all glory of whatsoever we have achieved so far in the farm to God, and I humble myself before my national ESCOs. 65% of my national ESCOs are senior to me, and I do not take that for granted. I appreciate all of you for coming to serve with me, under me, and with me. I remain your servant, not because of propaganda, but truly your servant. I abide by your advices. God helping me. I want to appreciate, lastly, my beautiful wife, who has stood by me all through this turbulent time. She has been a backbone, an encourager, a sweet, loving woman by my side. the criticism, the fight, the running from here and there. She never rejected me. I appreciate you, madam, for being there for us. My children, God bless you. Today is Nefan New Year, and I ask that we celebrate in peace. Do not insult anyone, as my culture has been. Do not reply any insult, if not necessary. God bless you, Nigerians. Good morning. Today is the first day of July 2026, and by my time is at 6:20. Good morning, all of us.